right now, the electoral vote totals are 274 to 170. Again, prediction based on a slew of data, a slew of models.
Because I think this is where we'll end up tomorrow evening, talking about how I mean, our map has Hillary Clinton ahead before we go into Election Day. Every poll has her ahead by a 3 to 5 point margin. I don't think every poll has ever been wrong before.
You sound a little bit like someone who's looking at this election in the rearview mirror.
You know, you do know on a campaign pretty much how it's going to turn out when the polls are this far apart.
Nicolle Wallace, that dirtbag.
Michael Cohen. I mean, there's a scene in Lego Batman where the Joker is sailing away and he says, you know, you're nothing without me.
I don't need you. I don't need anyone. You mean nothing to me.
I have this image of Donald Trump running, screaming naked through the halls of the East Wing. But put that aside for a minute. This hunter-gatherer. Clearly, Michael Cohen triggers the you-know-what out of Donald Trump.
What do you think about Michael Cohen testifying today?
Well, he's a proven liar, as you know. He's a felon, served a lot of time for lying, and we're going to just go in and see him.
Clearly.
So he's a liar trying to get a better deal for himself, but it's not going to work.
Clearly, Michael Cohen triggers the you-know-what out of Donald Trump.
The idea that Trump was as loyal to Cohen as Cohen was to Trump was always a fairy tale. He treated him like crap.
Clearly.
Okay, so Nicolle Wallace is one of the worst people on television or ever, in my opinion. I mean, she's a detestable never-Trumper. She's a rhino. And this past week, she had a complete meltdown over the potential of Trump being president again. It's like, hey, boo-boo, I thought he was going to go to jail forever and always. Why you tripping, Nicolle?
I'm just struck by the way Alvin Bragg says we do this all the time. This is sort of the bread and butter of white-collar prosecutions. Trump did it from the Oval Office because he's naming those payments in 17. He's in the Oval Office falsifying business records.
Right, I think we have a pattern here.
Under the campaign finance laws, he wouldn't have had to file disclosure statement until months after the 2016 election was over.
Right.
So how could this conceivably have affected the 2016 election?
This is the big lie about who he is, about who he was. And the notion that he lied about his wealth, that he lied about his sex life, that he lied about...
Why you tripping, Nicolle?
This is the big lie he lied about.
The enemy is the guy in the Oval Office who thinks there were good people on both sides of Charlottesville. Yes. The enemy is a guy in the Oval Office who just got a permission slip to cheat in presidential elections. Yes. The enemy is a guy who called his generals dopes and losers who he didn't want to go into battle with.
That was bullshit.
And I am nauseous when I see Democrats fight amongst themselves.
I mean, I'm a Fauci groupie. I'm a thrice vaccinated mask adherent. I buy KN95 masks by the, caseload. They're in every pocket.
Why you tripping, Nicolle?
Critical race theory, which isn't real.
He lied about his wealth. That
we as a party are losing women by 23 points at the top of our ticket. Do you even want to win with just white men voting Republican? I'm embarrassed. Serious.
Why you tripping, Nicolle?
Lied about his...
Donald Trump announced his candidacy, branding, if you will, Mexicans as rapists and murderers. We now have law enforcement today confirming that the killer's intended target, was Mexicans.
He lied about his wealth.
Are you proud that our path to victory is just to turn out more white guys?
Why you tripping, Nicolle?
He lied about... In this instance, NBC News, either wittingly or unwittingly, is teaching election deniers that what they can do stretches well beyond appearing on our air in interviews to peddle lies about the sanctity and integrity of our elections.
Can you say, as you sit here today, did Joe Biden win the election fair and square?
He won. He's the legitimate
Did he win
president.
fair and square?
Fair and square, he won. I'm going to push back a little because I do think it's fair to say there were problems in 2020. And to say that does not mean he's not the legitimate president.
There were no problems.
Bullshit.
We've also said to election deniers, it's not just they can do that on our airwaves, but that they can do that as one of us, as badge-carrying employees of NBC News, as paid contributors to our sacred airwaves. The letter signed by more than 2,000 former Justice Department officials of both political parties calling on Attorney General Barr to resign. Do you join their calls for his resignation?
Absolutely, positively. This has been the greatest abuse of power I have ever seen at the hands of this president who has no sense of decency or understanding of the Constitution.
That President Joe Biden and his daughter like to shower together. In that journal, Ashley Biden wrote that as a child, her and her father, President Joe Biden, showered together.
Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon.
And the asymmetry of saying F you to a sitting president.
Let's go, Brandon.
Don't look past this. Don't look at this as a story about giving airtime to a MAGA guy.
Merry Christmas and let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon. I agree.
Who goes on Steve Bannon's podcast and said, I wasn't joking. Did I say, F you, Mr. President? I said more than that. This is the slow motion insurrection. If they decide they value a fighter most, people would be foolish to underestimate Michael Avenatti.
I've got to believe, Nicolle, that all the tweets in the world are not going to save the president if Michael Cohen, in fact, decides to flip on the president, and I believe that he will. I've made a lot of predictions in the case. They've all come true thus far, but so far, I'm perfect.
So I told Jeb Bush after that debate that I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife. Yes. When he came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers, he said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face. You now have a president, as you said, talking about exterminating Latinos.
He lied.
Russia is actively working to, quote, denigrate Joe Biden.
Why you tripping, Nicolle?
He lied.
CEO of Nicolle Wallace on MSNBC, making a psychopathological comparison between the tyrannical Kim Jong-un and President Donald Trump.
Both men are known and established liars.
So Nicolle Wallace on her show last week was like, where are the Republicans with any kind of a spine left? Gaslighting.
Every time you turn on MSNBC, your IQ drops about 7.5 points. Nicolle Wallace, that was just a disgraceful, disgusting comment. Kind of emblematic of what you see on MSNBC, a network that lost its mind a long time ago.
I mean, this whole symbiotic relationship started with love, has ended up with deep, deep hatred between Michael Cohen and Trump.
Says who?
Is clearly Donald Trump. Everything about Michael Cohen that they will throw at Michael Cohen as an attack is what Michael Cohen did in service of Donald Trump.
Michael Cohen is now under investigation for possible tax fraud. New York federal prosecutors are looking into possible underreporting of his taxi medallion business on federal tax returns, plus failure to provide proper documentation for bank loans.
Everything about Michael Cohen as an attack is what Michael Cohen did in service of Donald Trump.
Possible tax fraud, all going back to his days in New York City with the taxi medallion business.
Did in service of Donald Trump.
Today, as you heard, Michael Cohen pled guilty to 8 felony charges. 5 of those dealt with tax evasion for the years 2012 through 2016.
Clearly is what Michael Cohen did in service of Donald Trump.
Failed to report approximately $4.1 million in reported income.
Is what Michael Cohen did in service of Donald Trump.
Was from the operation of his taxi medallion business. Approximately $100,000 of that money was from brokerage commissions, and over $200,000 was from consulting fees.
Everything they're going to attack him with is something that Michael Cohen went and served prison time for, and again, in service of Donald Trump.
Mr. Cohen pled guilty to making false statements to a financial institution in connection with an application for a home equity line of credit. In that application, he failed to disclose more than $14 million in debt that he had.
There's nothing more you can take from Michael Cohen.
Correct.
He's that person who has had everything taken from him.
He obtained that $500,000 line of credit, which he would not have been entitled to had he been candid and honest.
I think there's an opportunity probably for the jury to see him as just being raw and honest.
So Donald Trump will do anything and everything within which to win. And I believe that includes manipulating the ballots.
Donald Trump will become the 45th president. He's going to do everything that he promised during the campaign that he would do for the American people, making America great again.
I believe that he would even go so far as to start a war in order to prevent himself from being removed from office.
I'm obviously very loyal and very dedicated to Mr. Trump. I think he's going to be not just a good president, I think he's going to be a great president.
The biggest fear is that there will not be a peaceful transition of power in 2020.
For the jury to see him as just being raw and honest.
These are very serious charges and reflect a pattern of lies and dishonesty over an extended period of time.
Raw and honest.
A lawyer who, through training and tradition, understands what it means to be a lawyer, to engage in honest and fair dealing and adherence to the law. Mr. Cohen disregarded that training, disregarded that tradition, and decided that he was above the law, and for that he was going to pay a very, very serious price.
See ya, and I wouldn't want to be here.
Clearly.
Somebody gotta do it. Hey, let's go, Brandon. I keep a drum like I'm Nick Cannon. Hey, hey, let's go, Brandon. Pandemic ain't real, they just planned it. Hey, hey, let's go, Brandon. When you ask questions, they start banning. Hey, hey, let's go, Brandon. Pandemic ain't real, they just planned it. Hey, hey, let's go, Brandon. You ask questions, they start banning. Hey, hey, let's go, Brandon. Hey, let's go, Brandon. Hey, hey. Biden said the jab stopped the spread, it was lies. I remember how you wrote, but you haven't opened your eyes. These politicians are demons.